Well, hi there. Welcome to Chess-Based Workshop. My name is Steve Lopez. I'm the fellow that brings this video presentation to you every week with tips and tricks for how to use Fritz and chess-based software. We got Fritz12 up on the screen right now, but we're going to look at an older feature of Fritz. This isn't one of the new ones, but this is something I get asked about all the time. It's about a feature that's not really hidden. It's out there. You just need to know where to look for it. And that question I get a lot is, how do you get the dang thing to play against itself? Well, it's not hard to find it. You just need to know where to look. It's a feature called the Shootout. Now, I wrote about this several times in the old written version of Chess-Based Workshop. Now I'm going to actually show you how to do it in a video presentation. What Shootout is you can have an engine play a series of games against itself. In fact, you could actually have a series of engines play games against themselves. You could set up Fritz to play 3 games against itself, followed by Crafty playing 3 games against itself, followed by Ribka playing 3 games against itself, whatever. This is not, however, the feature you use to have an engine play against a different engine. That's a separate thing, and we'll look at that at another time. This is how you get an engine to play a series of games against itself. So what we do first of all is we're going to find a position that we want to start from. So we're going to go into the opening book and we're going to bang through a series of moves. What I'm going to do, since I'm an unorthodox player, is I'm going to go down here and I'm going to set up the Smith-Morra Gambit. Now, in Europe you call it the Morra Gambit. In America we call it the Smith-Morra Gambit because we are proud of the late great Ken Smith, and we actually miss him very much. Let me step through some moves here, get it set up where I want it. I don't want the knight move, I want the bishop move, because this is the way I normally play it. And what I typically will see then is my opponent playing e6, and this is the position that we want to start from the Smith-Morra Gambit, and we're going to have Fritz play a series of games against itself from this position just to see how Fritz would play it. So we go up here to Analysis, and we find Shootout, and we mouse over it. It says play a computer match from the current position. Bingo, that's what we want. That's basically a fancy way of saying Fritz will play against itself. We click on that and we get a dialog after some flickering and flashing on the screen, and what we see here is it's already set up defaulting to Fritz12 to play against itself with a really huge hash table size. For what I'm going to do, I don't need a hash table that large, but I'm going to just let it slide for the purpose of this demonstration. For very short games, which is what I'm going to have Fritz play, you'd actually want a much lower hash table size. The delete button, you can highlight Fritz12. You decide you want a different engine, you can click on that and click delete. It's not going to delete your Fritz12 engine, so don't bug out at the word delete. It just removes it from the list of participants, and then you would click new and pick a different engine from your big long list of scrolling engines. Or at least mine's a big long list because I put a bunch of UCI engines into this software. But you would click new, put a different engine in if you want to, or if you want to set up a series of matches where you would have Fritz12 play against itself followed by another engine playing against itself, you can set up a whole string of these just by clicking the new button and picking additional engines. Move limit, just let it set at 999. There's not been a chess game played ever that went 999 moves if the players knew what they were doing. The 50 move draw rule kicks in at some point. I think the longest tournament chess game was something like 280 moves. So leave that there, leave that alone. You don't need to even fool with that. You have your choice of different kinds of games. You can set up time control games, blitz games, or long games. I prefer to use fixed depth for the purpose of this demonstration, and you'll see why in a second. We can blow through some games really quick. Depth. The first game will be played, the way I have it set up, the first game will be played at a 3-ply search depth, meaning that when white looks ahead to 3 plies, then it'll be black, it'll make that move, and then it'll be black's turn. Black will do a 3-ply, 3-half move search, make a move, etc. And I've got it set up for 3 to 7, but you see it says 3 games over here. Why is it only going to play 3 games? Because I have skip even plies checked. Now, why would you want to skip the even plies? Let me go through the explanation. Just trust me on it. If you don't understand the explanation, don't worry about it. But generally, you're going to want to have that checked. In games played at an even ply search depth, a fixed depth of, say, 4 plies or 6 plies or 8 plies, what will happen is, let's say it's white's turn to move in a position like we have here. White will move, black will move, white will be analyzing a position. It'll look at decide on its first move, decide what black should play in response. decide on its second move, decide what black should play in response, and then boom, it'll move. But what it's not looking at, it's not looking at its fifth ply replies to black's fourth ply move. And what that does, it makes it a little tactically blind. Black could play a killer shot 4 plies into the search, and the program wouldn't even consider it or see it because it's not looking that one extra ply ahead. Now, I realize that sounds like a bunch of gibberish to some people. Just trust me on this one. If you don't understand it, skip even plies basically means that you get a little better quality game if all the games are played at odd search depths. So you have 3 ply search depth, the next game will be played at a 5 ply search depth, then the third game will be played at a 7 ply search depth, meaning that when the software looks ahead 3 plies, it makes a move, then it's the other side's turn to move, the software looks 3 plies ahead and makes a move. That'll be the first game. It'll just repeat that process. Then it'll do the same thing at 5 plies for the second game, then at 7 plies for the third game. So that's how this works. You want to set it for a range of games. For example, if I click this one more time, it now says 9, now says 9, sorry, and I will have 4 games if I choose to do so, 3, 5, 7, and 9 ply search depths. But I'm only going to play 3 games here, and you're going to be surprised how fast this goes. When you have all your parameters set up, then the participants that you want, in this case we're just going to have Fritz12 play against itself at fixed depth. By the way, if you don't have fixed depth checked, none of this matters right here. You don't have to worry about it because you're going to have time control set up instead. But you can set up a time control game or a fixed depth game. If you pick fixed depth, you set your parameters down here. Make sure you have skip even plies checked. And when you're ready to rock and roll, you just click the OK button, and here we go. It's loading Fritz, and there we are. It's firing through the game. Look how fast that thing is going. Back in the 1980s, the 3-ply search depth was a big deal on some of the old tabletop computers way back in the late 70s, early 80s, and now we just fire right on through it. Now we're doing a 5-ply search depth. And it just hammers right through the game until we get to a resolution here. And look at down there, the table base is kicked in. If you saw that real quick, if you're looking at the engine analysis pane, as it flashed by, we got to the end and it started using the table bases. And boom! We are done, friends. It's 50-50. We get a score, by the way. I've run this before, so I know what happens. White wins 1, black wins 1, and 1 is a draw. So in those 3 games, white is scoring 50% from that position. And it's done. You can click close at that point to get rid of that dialogue. You can play through the game. It'll show you the last game that was played, which is what we're looking at right here, the end of the 7-ply game. If you want to see the other games, you can open up your database window by hitting F12 on your keyboard, and it'll kick right into your database window. And here's your 3-ply game, your 5-ply game, and right under that is your 7-ply game. You can play through all 3 of them. You'll see that the 3 plies, white wins. At 5 plies, it was a draw, and black won in the 7-ply game. So further research is needed. But what's cool about this, though, is we can double-click on the game, load it up, play through it, and we can watch the gauges down here in the corner we talked about a couple of weeks ago. We can watch the measurements change as we step through a game. And here we have a critical position. Look at this. Fritz marked this as a critical position. So we can just step through the game, play through it, and see the kinds of things that might happen from our given position that we started the game with. So that's how you do it. That's how you do a shootout in Fritz. You get Fritz to play against itself from a given position. That's how you do it. To get Fritz to play against itself from a particular position, you use the shootout feature, which you will find when you click on analysis. You'll see it in the ribbon there, and there is shootout. That's it for Chess Base Workshop for this week. Until next week, have fun.